Hey everybody, this is Mr. Hetria. Just wanted to go over your next video, talk a little bit about for every statements. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first example. All right. It says two friends want to start taking care of bees so that they can produce their own honey in their backyards. They collected data to see the volume of honey produced by different numbers of bees. Here is a graph that represents the volume of honey produced by different numbers of bees. The slope of the above line is 0.2. And just to review, this is where you get your slope over here. You look over here at the data that you have on the graph, and your M value is 0.2, just like it says in the description. Okay, so here we have the data table, number of bees, the left column, milliliter of honey in the right column. All right, so question 1A over here says, label the X and Y axis properly. To review our previous video, if you look at the data table, the left column is going to go on your x-axis, the right column is going to go on your y-axis. Okay, so I am writing the information for the x-axis in black, the information for the y-axis in red. So let's start off with the x-axis. Just to review, here is where the x-axis is, and it is sometimes called the horizontal axis because it goes this way. It goes in the horizontal direction. And I labeled this with number of bees because that's what we have in the left column. Now let's go to the y-axis. This over here is the y-axis. I put that label over there. You don't need to write that on your graph. That's just to help remind you. So the y-axis is sometimes called the vertical axis because it goes in this direction, vertically. So we put the label over here for the y-axis, milliliter of honey. Just because that's what it says right over here. Now, B says add a title to the graph. So now this is going to be a review of what we talked about in the previous video. We're just going to go the y-axis label versus the x-axis label. So by going y versus x, we have milliliter of honey versus number of bees. That's all you need to do for your graph title. All right, so 1C says, what are the units of slope? The units of slope over here in the description, it says the slope of the above line is 0.2. Reminder, you can also look over here. It says M is equal to 0.2. So what I like to do, what I like to start off with over here is just writing down what is the value of the slope. So let's write down with 0.2. Now, in order to find the units, just remember that you need to take whatever is on the y-axis here, divided by whatever is on the x-axis over here. Okay, so we're going to go whatever's on the y-axis divided by whatever's on the x-axis. So we're going to go milliliter of honey divided by number of bees, or milliliter of honey over number of bees. So that's how we get this, 0.2 milliliter of honey over number of bees. Again, so y divided by x, y over x. Now, what we do to make it even simpler is whatever is on the bottom of that, whatever's on the x-axis, we say milliliter of honey over 1 bee, or you can just say milliliter of honey over B. Okay, so that's pretty much the same as saying milliliter honey over 1 bee. To make it even easier, what you can do to make it even simpler is just say milliliter of honey over B to show that it's just 1 bee. Or you can also say that milliliter honey per bee. And now we're going to go ahead and translate this into a for every statement to help you better understand what these units in combination with the number actually mean. All right, so here's a quick way to think about how to structure a for every statement. So it's going to say for every blank, there is blank blank. Okay, so the way to think about it, it's always going to be for every, and then here I put this in black because we wrote the x-axis units in black. For every x-axis unit there is, and then in green, it's going to be number for the slope, and then in red is the y-axis unit. All right, so when you write this, you're obviously just going to use a pencil. You don't need to make the different colors. I just put the different colors right now to help show you where each of these different values comes from. All right, so let's start with the first one. For every, and then over here in the black, it's going to be the x-axis unit. What is our x-axis unit? And if you want to, you can look over here, number of bees, and then if you look over here, simplified version was just b. Okay, so we're going to write over here for every bee. All right, now there is blank, and for the blank, you're going to look up here and it says use the number for the slope. This is green, so I changed this number over here to green. So we're going to just write that number over here. For every bee, there is 0.2. Can't really read it that well, but 0.2, 0.2. There we go. Excuse my sloppy handwriting. And then you're going to go for the last one, y-axis unit. So the y-axis unit in red is going to be milliliter honey. You can write milliliter of honey if you want. I just put milliliter honey to keep it simpler. So there is 0.2 milliliter honey. Okay. Now, what does this mean? This means that for every bee, there is 0.2 milliliters honey, or milliliters of honey. That means that every bee produced 0.2 milliliters of honey. Thank you so much for your focus. I hope this helped you out with an introduction to the for every statements. And please let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.